Making good people defenseless does not make bad people harmless. Think about it. Gun control laws only disarm the law-abiding. Murder, rape, and assaults are already against the law. Do you really think a law that bans concealed carry will stop a criminal? No. Help us fight back and become a member of the San Diego County Gun Owners. We make activism easy. So join today. Go to SDCGO.org/join and give up to a member. Sign today.
So, sorry. This Thursday, boy, we're off to a screaming start.
That's because you're so excited about the ugly Christmas
I am
sweater.
excited. This Thursday, San Diego County Gun Owners, we're going to have our 8th annual Christmas party. So please join us. It's free. You don't have to be a member. Just show up. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have beer, and we're going to have eggnog, and we're going to be able to spike the eggnog if you like. We're going to have burgers that you could for purchase. We're going to have a cool raffle with a bunch of cool guns. We're doing a lot of cool things.
And the ugly sweater contest has already been won.
Yeah, by you? Did you win it?
I've decided my wife.
Oh, really?
Yep. I got her a kicking sweater. Wait till you see this thing.
I'm looking forward to it. I think you'll like mine as well.
I doubt it.
I don't know. It's not. Mine's not exactly ugly, but it is a.
Well, nothing you own is ugly.
That's exactly right. So, Jim Bellinger here in the studio. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. And where are you from?
I'm from Corona, California.
Yeah, in
Lovely
town.
Corona, California.
Just to be on this professionally run radio show.
I'm feeling that, yes.
Yeah. But Jim won't be in town for. He's the only. He's going to be the only thing missing from the Christmas party. Everybody, come on down. It'll be a lot of fun. It's a very cool event. So come on down and have fun with us. Gift giving for gun owners. Have you considered training? CCW USA, Stronghold Dynamic, San Diego Firearms School, Mike Pettingill from Personal Protection Academy, and of course Paragraph 2, which Jim's going to talk about more later, are all offering the ability to give the gift of training this year. So check them out. Go to gunownersradio.com. We'll direct you. Check out the gunownersradio.com's email. And if you're not on the email list, go to the email. Go to the radio or Gun Owners Radio website. Sign up for the email. Vote for Gun Owners Radio on the Gundies. We've been nominated for a Gundy.
What's that?
It's we're actually nominated for Top Voices in 2A. Gundies are like an award, like the Oscars.
Is this your voice or is this my voice?
Well, I don't think it's. I don't think it's literally the voice, Dave. I think
you just said we were top voice.
Top voices. I think that means that we're actually speaking on behalf of the community.
If I don't win, I'll cry.
I will too. I think that'll be
How
great.
do we vote? Can we vote for ourselves?
Go to gunownersradio.com, and there is a link so that you can vote for us for Gundies. Vote early and vote often.
How often? Because I'll stay up all night.
Do it. I don't remember the actual. I think you can vote multiple times. Okay. I don't know if you have to wait every 24 hours, but just keep voting. But it is cool. We got some cool folks with us in the nominee section, so I'm very, very happy. Hey, breaking news, wanted to talk about very, very quickly is the Jones versus Bonta case, which is it was one of the first, I don't think it was the first, but it was one of the first times that we partnered with FPC, Firearms Policy Coalition, and worked with them on a lawsuit. And this lawsuit has been around for years now, working its way through. But, of course, like all Second Amendment lawsuits, got a huge boost by the Bruin case, the Bruin decision last year out of the Supreme Court about a year and a half ago now. The Jones case, a guy named Matt Jones, who at the time was I think he was 18, 19 years old, 19, 20, but he wasn't 21, and you have to be 21 in the state of California to purchase a firearm, now a firearm, but at the time just a pistol from a dealer. You had to be 21. So we decided that, hey, you know what? If you're an adult, if the government decides that you can, get drafted and you can, buy cigarettes and you can enter contracts and you can do all these other things, then by golly, you certainly should be afforded the protection of all the rights in the Constitution, including the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not a secondary right. So you got to do one of two things. You got to make adults older. You got to say, hey, you know what? From now on, adulthood isn't until you're 25. I'm not sure I'd be opposed to that. Let's talk about that in a second. But what our case is basically, if you're an adult, then you should have the right to purchase a firearm, which is your Second Amendment protected right. A judge, unfortunately, has not granted a preliminary injunction. Now, this thing's been going on for years, but we asked for a preliminary injunction, and the judge said nope. But the good news is his reasoning was totally off base. In other words, it wasn't in line with the Bruin decision, which sounds like bad news, but frankly, I think it's good news because I think that that's going to be real easy to pick apart that kind of reasoning. The judge, went back to the old
2 minutes.
The old reasoning of, hey, it's good for society to have these kinds of laws. Well, that's not what the Bruin decision says. The Bruin decision says that, hey, these laws had to have existed back in 1791. Otherwise, they're unconstitutional. They had to fall in line with the 27 words of the Second Amendment, and that certainly doesn't. And our side actually brought in the Militia Act of 1792, which basically says, hey, look, if we call up and say, hey, militia, we need you to meet and organize and defend us, the Militia Act says you got to bring your own gun, which pretty much destroys the idea that we aren't the militia or that the National Guard has taken the place of the militia, and very, very, very much supports the idea that we need our own guns. And frankly, these quote-unquote weapons of war that they keep warning us about and talking about and, grabbing their pearls and complaining about, well, that's the exact type of firearms that the Second Amendment
1 minute.
protects. So it's kind of good and bad news. Bad news in that he didn't grant the injunction. Good news is in that his reasoning was absolutely horrible. So real quick, we have 1 minute. Jim, what would you say? I'm going to put you on the spot. If they said, hey, you know what? We're going to raise the age of majority to 21, what would you say? Would you be supportive of that or not?
Well, no, I think it's against our constitutional rights. The name of my company is paragraph 2 of the Declaration of Independence. It doesn't say vote them out. It says kick them out. So that's how I really
That's
feel.
where paragraph 2 comes from?
Paragraph 2 comes from the Declaration of Independence. And it says we have all these truths to pursue, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't say vote them out if they do these usurpations. It says kick them out.
See why we have Jim on the show here, Dave?
I was in the Army. I got to do it when I was 18.
Well, there you
not
go.
21. Thank
Well,
you very much.
Well, but then if they did raise it, everything else would be raised too. You couldn't get drafted, couldn't get
Yeah.
But at least that's the legal way. Right now, adults their Second Amendment rights are protected. So there you go. So join San Diego County Gun Owners. Help us continue to fight this. Join Firearms Policy Coalition as well.
Gun owners, listen up. If you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California's best firearms lawyer, and that means John Dillon. He can help you with red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws, so put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150.
So in this segment, we were going to talk to Sheriff Bianco, who's my favorite elected official. My favorite elected official in the entire nation. And I got to tell you, I know a lot of elected officials, and I'm not a fan. So Sheriff Bianco is by far my favorite. He really, really is an outstanding guy. And he made an interesting announcement that they just issued their 40,000th CCW in Riverside County. And Riverside County is significantly smaller than San Diego. They got, I think, about just over 2 million people. We have about 3.5 million people, and we have about 16,000, and now they have 40,000. The really interesting part of that is that 37,000 of those 40,000 were issued while he's been in office, and he's only been in office for, I think it's about 5 years. I think it's about to be 6. Mm-hmm. That is amazing.
And how long is the process in Riverside?
I don't know. That would have been an excellent question.
Not a year and a half.
That he called in.
Wait. For Riverside?
Yeah.
They're doing it in about 3 weeks right now.
I know.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it can be done.
So I guess he said he was going to call in. He said we were going to talk to him. I was really looking forward to it. He also said he was in Vegas, though. So I'm wondering if he's on the craps table. In any case, here's what we're going to do. Jim, let's talk about paragraph 2, my friend.
Awesome.
So talk about who you are, what you do. give us your background.
My name's Jim Bellinger. I'm 69 years old. I'm retired. I thought I'd just take it easy after the governor helped me close my gyms.
Talk about that. What kind of gyms?
I had a gym called Zadori. That's Italian for sweat. And it was a great gym. It was a lot of fun. We developed a lot of people and just kind of got to enjoy ourselves. We don't want to ever hurt anybody.
Like, what kind of gym? Was it like weightlifting or?
All
the
kinds of
above.
stuff. Yeah. Well, again, a lot of the things that we do in exercise are wrong.
Well, what's an example?
Every man over 40 needs shoulder surgery because we teach them all the wrong things. We shouldn't put pressure on the top of your elbow. We should build it the back. So if I put a weight here in your arm right there and had you lift like that, you develop your shoulder problems would all go away.
Oh, wow.
Same thing with knees on when you're extending your knees out and stuff like that. We help you develop that. There's different ways to move your feet.
Wow, interesting. So I went ahead and I beat you to it. I had shoulder surgery when I was 21.
There you go.
So I didn't wait till I was over 40. I'm on, but I'm that kind of guy. I do things
way ahead of things.
I'm way ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so you left that industry, decided you were gonna enjoy every day was gonna be Saturday. You were gonna retire.
Every day was going to be fun.
Yeah.
And becoming a firearm instructor and working with different people. It's an amazing feeling, and when we get to spend some time, and when you get to see when they get that grasp and they're looking at the target, and that smile comes over their face, especially a woman when they can see that the mama bear comes out, it just makes your day. It's
That's
something
awesome.
They can see that they can defend themselves. And women have bought so many guns lately. The last 5 million, like 70% of women, they just put their Glock 19 on the shelf and said, "I can defend myself."
So when you got so you got certified to be an instructor, and was it just kind of was it initially just kind of I'll just see what happens. I'll do this once a week or whatever.
Oh,
or did
yeah.
you
No,
open right up and
No, it was to just get ammunition and buy the guns I wanted.
yeah.
No really big plan,
Yeah.
And I think my wife said I needed to get out of the house.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
She
and
was,
so I just started teaching. And I told you the story earlier. I got a rifle instructor first, and nobody wants to understand rifles. So
so you went and got certified by the great T.J. Johnston.
absolutely the great
Legendary, and I am that is not hyperbole. That TJ, such an outstanding guy.
He's the best.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just about everybody. Have you taken a class with TJ, Alicia?
No.
You're okay. Well, that's your assignment. That's your New Year resolution for 2024.
My home.
The sheriff's on the phone.
Oh, great! Sheriff's on the phone. I think what we're going to do, we're going to transition over to Sheriff Bianco, and we're going to pick this up later, Jim, because it was going in an extremely interesting direction. So, as we were saying, Sheriff Bianco, my very, very favorite elected official. I'm a huge fan. He does such a good job. And wanted to have him come on the phone and talk about the fact that he just announced that the 40,000th CCW was issued in Riverside County, and that 37,000 of those 40,000 have been issued while he's been the sheriff. And he's only been the sheriff of Riverside County for 5-6 years, Sheriff. Is that right?
That's correct. 5 years now.
5 years. Congratulations, Sheriff. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Sorry I'm a little bit late.
That's okay. I appreciate you coming on and talking about this enormous milestone. So tell us about it. What first off, confirm, is that right? It's 40,000 and 37,000 of them were issued by you?
Yes, a little bit more than that, but those are the numbers. It's like 40,000, couple hundred, and then 37,000, couple hundred were issued by me since I took over. So, yes.
And Alicia's question was, if somebody applies today, they start the process today. They haven't done anything, but they start the process today, and they pretty much do everything right. When are they going to actually have their card in their hand?
That's a tough question, especially right now, but you're probably looking at 30 days, 60 days. I wouldn't guess that it'd take longer than that. We're running into a real problem now in that because of the new law that's taking effect in at the beginning of 2024, we had tons of people applying. So we're definitely booked up solid for the next month, maybe even 2 months. So you're looking roughly 2 months. I hope it wouldn't go 90 days.
That's amazing. Now,
He
why?
opens that with an apology that it takes that long.
I know.
Yes.
Why? Okay, is the DOJ, the California DOJ, are they not a hurdle in this, or why? I talked to.
Well,
go ahead. Talk about the DOJ.
They are a hurdle sometimes. It's so bizarre. They only have a couple of people working in DOJ firearms. And so, you do your fingerprints. Everyone has to do fingerprints. And that's usually the hurdle. And we tell people that it could take several months before they get a return back. But it's so bizarre that sometimes we'll get a return back in a couple of days, and then other times, it will be several months. So it's a hit or miss, luck of the draw, depending on whether or not they get your prints and they do them. So it's weird.
Now, why is it that you guys are doing so much? It's far more efficient than I think just about any county. Well, at least the only ones I really know about are San Diego County, Orange County, and San Bernardino County, of course, Riverside County. And you are by far better than, or quicker. I don't want to say better. That's a judgment call. Not better, but you're more efficient than those other three counties. And as far as I can tell, you're certainly more efficient than L.A. and San Francisco and Sacramento and some of the other
that's
counties.
Not tough, Mike.
Yeah, but that's an extremely low bar. Why? What is going on? How are you able to do this so much more efficient than the other counties?
Yeah, there's multiple things there, but I do want to say that there are a lot of sheriffs in the state that do issue and that do everything they can to accommodate their residents that apply. But I think with the difference in us is we're a big county, obviously, but I have a group of individuals that are working for me in our CCW unit that believe wholeheartedly the same way I do that we're just exercising our constitutional rights. And if you're a law-abiding resident, you're coming to the sheriff to ask for permission, we're going to grant it to you. So they take it personal, and they work extremely hard on the backgrounds and making sure that you have everything submitted that you're supposed to submit, and that we're complying with the state requirements. And I think it's just we really do want to take care of our residents in Riverside County, and the people that I have working in my unit work extremely hard to make it happen. And we know that people don't really like delays, and we try and get them as quick as we can, and they take it a little bit personal, and they try and beat their partners and make sure that the investigations are done on time, that they're not just sitting with idle time. And so really what we like saying is the time it takes for you to get approved is going to be on you. It's not going to be on us. We're not going to be the delaying factor. If it takes you 3 or 4 months, it's because it took you that long to do your class or get your prints in or upload all your information. We're not going to be the hindrance to you getting one.
And so I mean, just that attitude is fantastic. There's this seminar, I've talked about it on the air before, that there every spring for the last few years.
2 minutes.
There's a seminar up in the Vacaville area where all the sheriffs are invited, and they talk about best practices when it comes to issuing CCWs. And I don't remember if it was this year or last year, but one of your employees won their top award, which was impressive. But what's even more impressive is that you were one of the few sheriffs that actually showed up to that seminar and then celebrated with your employee on their victory. And I think that it just speaks volumes to how much this whole thing means to you. Do you want to brag on your employee real quick?
Well, yes. So that employee, he was in charge of running our unit at that time. Lieutenant Brian Vig, or actually it was Larry Searles. He was the corporal that was running the unit, and he got the CCW Coordinator of the Year. And he was doing a fantastic job. And since then, he's retired, and we have a new Corporal Mark Skoglund, who is in charge of the unit now. And actually, Mark has taken the unit to an entirely different level. As much as Larry set the bar extremely high for Mark coming in, and Mark ran with it and did everything he could to make it better. We've doubled the applications that we can handle weekly, so we're processing more than what we were back then. So we're doing everything we can. Our employees are doing everything that they can to make sure that we're better every single day. That's
phenomenal. And I think that it's coming from the top. It wouldn't be possible and without your. This is a priority of yours. It was a campaign promise when you ran, and it's something that people really, really like about what you're doing in Riverside.
Learn to fly. Get your pilot's license. San Diego's the best place to learn to fly. Get your license, and it's wonderful. Learn to fly with San Diego Flight Training International. Gun owner, radio listeners, hey, you get a special deal. 1 hour ground school, flight with an instructor. Yep, you get to fly. That's $400 value for $350. Give them a call, 858-569-1822. 858-569-1822.
We're here talking with Sheriff Chad Bianco from Riverside County, who has been gracious enough to come on the show and talk about his major accomplishment of getting 37,000 additional CCWs issued in the 5 years that he's been sheriff, which they are now over 40,000 issued. Sheriff, that's outstanding. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. And I just did some math, and that averages about 616 a month over the course of 5 years. But I think you're averaging even more recently. Do you have any idea what the average, how many you're issuing per month?
Yeah, the last month we did 1,200.
1,200, so outstanding.
It's an ebb and flow. Sometimes we've got a lot of applicants that have applied, and then other times it slows down a little bit. The last 6-8 months have been crazy. So we've issued, it's really close to 1,000 per month over maybe the last 6 or 7 months.
That's outstanding. Now, why is it important to you? Why does it matter?
I'm a firm believer, obviously, in our Constitution. I think that an armed society, it's an old quote, but an armed society is a polite society. The biggest thing for me is law-abiding residents don't break the law. It's criminals that break the law. And a criminal is not going to come ask me for permission for a permit to carry that gun and do it legally. Only law-abiding residents do. So if that's where you are, and if you feel the need to protect yourself, or you want to protect yourself or the people around you, more power to you. And I'm in a position to make sure that you are that person, that law-abiding resident. Will do your background. And then I believe that everyone, as long as you don't break the law or you have some type of mental issue that prevents you, we all should be carrying guns. And if that were the case, I think we would be a lot safer and a lot calmer, nicer society.
Well, I think I agree with everything you just said, and definitely appreciate the eloquent way you're able to put everything, which is one of the many reasons you're truly one of my favorite, my favorite, not one of my favorite. You're my favorite elected official. In 5 years, you've been tested, my friend. This has been an extremely difficult 5 years for anybody, let alone the sheriff of a county in California. The first thing I was paying attention that I saw you tackle was this CCW issue, and you did it successfully, and you did it gracefully. I'm not a fan of your predecessor. You obviously ran against him and won, and I'm extremely happy that you did, and you've never said an ill word against him. You've just solved the problem and marched forward, and that you should be respected for that. But then the problems after that, COVID, and then, the BLM riots, and then, the enormous homelessness / drug problem / letting people out of jail problem, and it's unfortunate these days. There's only two sides to every issue. Everybody's completely lost nuance and the ability to, there's a line in the sand, and you're either on this side or you're on that side. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But you have successfully, I think, made people happy on both sides without compromising, and certainly without compromising your principle. You've navigated all that successfully and done a fantastic job to the point where I think you've earned the respect of people on both sides, and you've criticized where there needs to be criticism without lowering yourself, without lowering your standards, by communicating the issues and saying, hey, here's what's going on, here's some solutions, here's some help. How's it been for you? Like, how are you holding up? In all sincerity, one person to another person, how's that? The last 5 years have been extremely difficult. How are you holding up?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I accepted the challenge. I knew what I was getting myself into. I don't think I knew it was going to be as crazy as it was. But in the end, I am, every night when I go to bed, I know that I'm doing the right thing every day, and I'm going to wake up in the morning to do better than I did the day before. And I've taken a lot of flack, personally, and really, I think it's all unwarranted. I think that people, what you said, where you're on one side or the other, I don't think that people really take the time to figure out what they're mad at me for. I think they would find out it's a lot unwarranted and a lot of rumor and fifth and sixth and seventh hand info, because I think that, I pride myself in my integrity, my honesty, my work ethic, and I do everything I can to impress that upon my deputies. Your deputies in Riverside County are fantastic. Like anything, we can't be perfect, but we strive to be. And in the end, I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of our employees, and I'm proud of the work that I do. And even though I'll have haters, I know they're haters just because they want to be haters. There's no truth or substance behind what they're hating me for. And so I'll just keep doing everything I can to do the right thing, to stand up for what's right. And in the end, I think that's what the voters put me here for, and I think they'll keep me here for a while.
Well, haters maybe, but gosh, you have an event and you say that Sheriff Bianco is going to be there. I mean, you're right under rock star status, which is awesome. I mean, you have so many more fans than you do haters. Now, your next challenge is, I think, from my perspective, is SB2. Can you talk about SB2 and give us an idea of how is this going to be implemented? What's going to happen? What are your thoughts on all that?
We all know, that here I'm preaching to the choir. We all know that SB2 was an immediate knee-jerk reaction by our complete anti-2A, disdain for our Constitution government that we have in California. Our Attorney General and our governor despise the Second Amendment. They despise the Constitution. And when that ruling came down in Braun, and it was in our favor, they did everything they can to try and combat that. And basically, it was Constitution be damned. We're going to come up with these regulations to prevent people from being able to get a CCW. And I need to say that I'm not against everything in the bill. I mean, how can you be against additional training and making people proficient? I'm all for that. So no one would ever say that the whole thing was ridiculous. But the restrictions that they are placing on where you can carry your gun or the places that you can go are just ridiculous. And we know there's going to be lawsuits. We know that eventually it has to be overturned, because just on its face, anyone with a little bit of common sense could see that it's completely anti Second Amendment. The interesting thing about that is basically what they're saying is you can't go down a sidewalk with your CCW, so let's turn it a little bit back on them and let's just change the amendment. What would happen if they said that you couldn't go on a street corner and voice your First Amendment right?
Yeah.
Or you couldn't go into a certain place within the city and voice your First Amendment rights. It's absolutely crazy, and obviously it is against the Second Amendment. They've made it a law, and there's a lot of drama and innuendo and a lot of controversy about what's going to happen, and is this law going to be enforced? Unfortunately for all of us, it is a law. For my residents in Riverside County or anyone going to Riverside County, like everything else, our state is making it extremely hard to live here, public safety-wise. Crime is through the roof. And I have to put a priority on the things that our deputy responds to. And responding to a call for service because someone believes that someone with a concealed weapons permit is walking down the sidewalk is going to be an extremely low priority in Riverside County. You commit a crime with a gun, we're going to be the first ones there to apprehend you and hold you accountable. But a law-abiding resident with a CCW permit, you don't have much to worry about in Riverside County.
Yeah, I talked about that on the show, I don't know, last week, 2 weeks ago. A lot of people, there are people who understandably are frustrated, but their suggested solution is, well, the sheriff just won't enforce that. And that's not how it works. That's putting unfair expectations that are completely out of line with reality on a sheriff. I mean, it's just
2
not
minutes.
how things work. But I do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what my comment was, you're not going to, none of the sheriffs are going to have like a squad of people that run around looking for CCW holders, and checking or whatever. But if somebody does do a crime and they were carrying, and it is a violation of SB2, then it'll probably be an additional charge. Don't you think that's probably the most likely scenario?
Yes, I think that's probably about the most likely scenario. You even take it on face value of what a CCW is. It's carrying a concealed weapon. You shouldn't be advertising that you're carrying that gun anyway. You're carrying it concealed for a reason, because you don't want people knowing that you're carrying. So why would you advertise it? And I have a feeling there's going to be the hardcore radical people that are just going to, go into a building and demand that they come in with their CCW, and you're doing a disservice to everyone. You shouldn't be advertising that you're carrying a gun. You shouldn't be worrying about it. If you don't want to go to those businesses that don't want you, then take your business somewhere else and take care of another business instead of ones that you don't like. There's no reason to attract attention to yourself and really draw law enforcement to a scene that we don't need to be there anyway. We shouldn't be there, and it's taking our time away from other more pressing criminal matters.
Well, and it's not an effective way to fight this thing. I mean, we within 2 hours of the governor signing it,
1 minute,
we filed a lawsuit. We have a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. We're fighting this thing. We're working towards an injunction. We're not the only lawsuit, but if this thing's making you mad, rather than go make a spectacle of yourself and holding law enforcement to unrealistic expectations and standards, help us. Get involved, helping
Absolutely.
us. We're actually doing what the country is set up to do. Which is file a lawsuit when somebody is file a lawsuit. Number one, and number two, trying to get the right people elected. And
that's the key right there. That is the key. I mean, and right now, the biggest one. This is our biggest person that we should be directing this against is number one, the governor, but he's gone, and we can make his presidential aspirations go down the toilet. But you have an attorney general that despises the Second Amendment, that absolutely despises the Constitution, and he's going to be running again. And he is responsible for SB2. And we need to make sure that if you don't like this, then we need to be as vocal as we possibly can for the next 2 years while he tries to lie to everybody to tell how great he is. And we need to get somebody in there that actually cares about our Constitution and about making us safe and about public safety, and get the activist, anti-Constitution people out of government. They've filled Sacramento. They're in the highest positions we have, and it's time we exercise our voting rights and get them out.
Excellent job, Sheriff Bianco. Thank you so much.
Hey, Riverside, San Bernardino. Even the Bruin case, the gun grabbers are getting even more desperate. Let's face it, all these laws disarm only the people that would use a gun to defend themselves. Fight back and do something to defend your Second Amendment right. Join Inland Empire gun owners right now. We're growing the 2A community and are getting more pro 2A officials elected. Membership is only $10 per month, and joining is real easy. Just go to iegunowners.com/join.
All right, well, that was a cool interview. See why I like that guy?
Oh, he's a great guy.
Had you ever heard of him before, Jim?
Have I? He gave me my CCW.
I was going to say. Yeah. What is the general? And by the way, we have Mike Pettengill joining us from the in the studio. Thank you, sir. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys?
Fantastic. So you guys are both instructors in Riverside. What's the general feeling? What do you guys hear about Sheriff Bianco?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Bianco in Riverside right now?
Loves him.
Oh,
not just likes, loves him.
It's like the Christmas spirit. Everyone's getting a CCW in their stocking. It's great.
No, that's true.
What are you hearing, Jim?
What I hear is he's the best sheriff in the whole wide world. Not just the United States. He really cares about people. He cares about his people. A lot of those guys that are in the CCW unit, they're all personable guys, and they all work really, really hard to train.
Now, we talk a lot about CCWs because, I mean, for obvious reasons. You couldn't get it for, in effect, you really couldn't get it for a while. You couldn't get CCWs for decades in most places. And now it's like we all it's like a new toy under the Christmas tree, So everybody's going after it, which is important. We have a lot of catching up to do. Yeah. You guys should probably be, he's at 40,000. You guys really, if you just hit the average for the rest of the country, Riverside County should probably be around 100,000 CCWs issued. San Diego should probably be somewhere around 140, 150,000, and we're not. So we got a lot of work to do, gentlemen. Let's talk about home defense for a second. You guys, because you don't just teach CCW. And I would suggest that if somebody out there gets their CCW, and there's a lot of people out there that maybe weren't really gun owners prior, they weren't very active if they were gun owners, but they want to carry, so they go and they take the 8-hour course, or whatever the required course. It's 8 hours up in Riverside. It's 16 in Orange. It's about to be 16 for everybody. So they take that required course, but there's a lot more you got to know. There's a lot more training to be had, and home defense used to be the number one thing people talked about. Now you hardly ever hear about it. So talk about, Jim, what are some things that people need to know about home defense and firearms? What's the most common?
Probably the biggest thing is you got to have a plan.
Yeah.
Without a plan, all you have is confusion and chaos. And then that's when a lot of things that go wrong, go sideways in a hurry. Again, we have so many home invasions in Riverside County right now. And I don't know if I'm supposed to quote the numbers or not, but consider it a lot of home invasions, up to 400 or 500 a month. And that's with people breaking in with 40 or 50 of them in the home. So very frightening kind of stuff going on out there. And again, they don't have a plan. They don't know. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be upset. Their heart's going to be pounding. They're going to be breathing heavy. And they're going to stand there and hold a firearm they've never trained with. Maybe they shot one time. And we teach them all different things: how to get out of a chair in a restaurant and protect your family.
Oh, wow.
We teach them how to sit with their hands on a chair with a towel, because they're going to be shaking like this. And then how do they defend? What positions, what line, what boundaries are they going to create in their home so they can protect their family? And we teach a code word thing where in my family it's blue. That means everybody take your position. You hear a color, you move to the next one, till we all go out the back window. I don't want to send somebody out of a CCW class without having a home plan.
Wow, that's intense.
It's got to be.
But it's not complicated.
No, not at all.
I mean, anybody, it's not rocket surgery, right? It's
and even the restaurant thing, we actually have them sit down. We have a table, and as they go along in our process, we actually put plates on the table. We teach them to overturn it. The bad guy is going to be looking at everything.
Here's my restaurant question when it comes to CCWs, because this is something this is a problem I run across all the time. You got two guys who are CCW holders. How do you decide which one sits facing the door? Because, man, it's going to come to fisticuffs. I know it one of these days.
First one through the door,
or
gets the seat next to the facing the door.
No,
or maybe
the guy that pays.
Maybe
So listen, my wife and I have got the hardest question is actually solved. We've got a standing bet that we have, and it's the first person between me and my wife to identify where the exit is doesn't have to pay for dinner. And because the answer is someone comes through the front door, or someone stands up and they're the scumbag that's going to do damage. God bless you, folks. My wife and I are going out the back door. Make sure you tip your waitress. Good night.
You know what, Mike? Next time you and I have lunch, I think what we're going to do is we're going to sit right next to each other, both facing the door.
Facing the door. But here's the thing: I'm going to identify the exit first, and you're going to pay.
It is funny though, because I try to show up early. I like to show up early to, especially to
scope out the menu.
I do. I want to scope out the menu. I like to show up early. I don't like to, if I'm meeting somebody, having a meeting, having lunch or dinner or whatever, I don't like to get there later. But I want to show up early, pick the right place. If it's not the right table, I'll ask for the right. You know what I mean? I like to get there early. And the look on whoever I'm meeting, if it's a fellow gun person, the look on their face, we're like, oh man, I wanted to face the door. You know what I mean? Like, It's very satisfying. It's very satisfying. Mike, talk about home defense. What are people not doing enough? What do they need to know more?
So one of the things that we talk a lot about, not just in our CCW classes, but a lot of the other classes, is run and hide. You don't have to be the person who is going out and looking for the bad guy. Save that for the professionals. My wife, I'm not going to tell you exactly what my home defense plan is, but my wife and I have a great plan to hunker down. We have additional arms and additional med kits, and we have a panic button for our alarm and an extra phone and deadbolts in a certain place that we go. Because I don't need to be Tactical Johnny or John Wick or John Wayne or John Rambo and going looking through my house. And I get folks in my class all the time, Mike, you're a competitive shooter. Mike, you're a firearms instructor. You could take these guys out. I need Johnny the meth head to have one lucky shot and take everything I've ever loved away from me.
Yeah. Plus, I just don't want to. I don't want to shoot anybody.
No.
I don't have any desire.
No.
I hope to God that
No.
never ever happens.
No, there's folks that are professionally trained to do that. I'll call 911. I'll let them know where the extra key is, and they can come on in, and they can, and I'll give them the password to let them know that, hey, I'm behind this door. Don't go behind this door until you give me that password, and we're all good.
So Jim, what are you guys doing about SB2? There hasn't really been a lot of direction yet. Is there anything that you want to get out there and make sure people know?
Yeah, pray. It's really sad.
That's good advice.
It's a really difficult situation. There's so many sensitive places you literally can carry to the middle of the street.
Yeah.
So it's going to put a lot of people in a difficult situation. Someone like Mike or myself who teaches around the country, Mike, if we want to grab our guns, we got to go to Las Vegas, right? We can't even go into an airport.
Radio etiquette. Don't turn your head.
I'm sorry.
Right up on the mic.
Okay. So in Mike's case or my case, if I got to go drive to Las Vegas, ship my guns, take them with me. What if I want to go hunting? What are all the hunters going to do? I mean, these are the kinds of things, and there's a lot more things that are in there.
Yeah.
But it's just they've literally taken it so that we cannot protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And I guess they haven't done a very good job at protecting us, have they?
No, I would say no.
2 minutes.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. So we need. There's a lot that has to happen. And again, we're all writing new programs for all the different counties that we all trained for, and everybody's like panicked.
Yeah, and it's and something just came out over the weekend. I guess it was late Friday. Came out. You guys probably got it too, where they're basically centralizing. What it amounts to is they're centralizing training. They're centralizing certifying instructors.
CCW instructors.
CCW instructors. So it used to be that you'd have to, go to the sheriff and say, hey, I'm an instructor. Here's whatever's required. In San Diego, you had to actually give your curriculum. Well, it looks like they're centralizing that. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt. It's like 90% bad and 10% not so bad is really what it amounts to. So it is moving forward. SB2 is moving forward on some things. But, help us out. I mean, pray, but then get involved. You got organizations. San Diego County.
1 minute.
Orange County. We're filing a lot. We filed the lawsuits. We're trying to get the injunction. We're doing the hard work. We're doing the heavy lift. Get involved. CRPA filed too. If you don't like us, great. Go. But help. Don't just sit there and complain. Don't just hand wring. Don't just oh my gosh, the sky's falling yet again. We continue. Do you guys feel like for the first time in years that it looks like we're going the right direction? You can see a light at the end of the tunnel.
I don't.
Really? You think
I really
things are
don't.
getting worse?
I think we could be the best. There's 81 million gun owners in the U.S. And we need to do something and get organized and get behind organizations like yours. We got to quit fractionalizing ourselves. Our instructors got to start building each other up, and we got to go in one direction.
10 seconds.
You know what? They're not fractured.
Who?
The government.
The government's fractured. Yeah.
No, they're fractured.
Oh
but
no, they're
not
together.
fractured
Yeah, I
against
agree.
you.
With you. I agree.
They've got their act. Everybody's going after you.
They're better at it.
That's right. Help Orange County gun owners get the right people elected in Orange County. People that will stand up and protect your gun rights. How? By becoming a member today. Go to ocgunowners.com/join. Now is the time to join the growing number of gun owners who care and want to protect our Second Amendment rights. Go to ocgunowners.com/join and become a member today.
All right, everybody. So we have, subscribe and win time. Subscribe to our email list and win some swag. This week's winner is Daniel Ashley. Daniel, congratulations. Email prizes at gunownersradio.com to claim your T-shirt or hat. Let us know what size you want and where to ship it, and Daniel will make sure you get your prize. Anybody who wants to subscribe, please go to gunownersradio.com and subscribe to our free email list, and then we'll keep you up to date on exactly what's going on, including something we haven't even announced yet. But in March, the first weekend of March, we're going to have a very cool gun show here in San Diego, down in Mission Valley. It's going to be very, very cool. Honestly, what we're planning is going to be the best gun show I think I've ever been to. So it's going to be, I think, pretty exciting. A lot of things for a lot of people to do. In the studio, we have Jim Bellinger from Paragraph 2, which is I just found out. I got to tell you, like I just for the last couple of weeks, I'm like, what is Paragraph 2? Like, I wonder what that means. What paragraph he's talking about? Tell us again. Paragraph 2 is
the second paragraph in the Declaration of Independence. It's not only your right; it's your duty
to
overthrow the people that create usurpations. For example, the Boston Tea Party was over a 2 to 3% tax. Are you taxed more than 2 to 3%?
Slightly.
We should be having one hell of a party.
And Mike Pettengill from Personal Protection Academy, an old friend of the show. How are you, my friend?
Good, sir. How are you?
Excellent. So, Jim, one of the things I talk about when it comes to training is I think that we probably are we spend too much time on marksmanship, and people hear that and they go, "Well, no, Mike, you got to be able to hit the target. People don't get enough training." But what I mean by that is the percentage of training that people, do. Too much of that percentage is on marksmanship, and not enough of it is on everything else. And we were talking a little bit about home defense, putting together a plan. Talk about some of the classes that you have and some of the things that you teach that aren't marksmanship, that people really, really should value and of course, come to you to learn about.
In the USCCA, we teach what's called point shooting. And again, point shooting is just raising your hand and then getting the first bullet off. I'll tell my people, the most important thing in a gunfight is to cheat and get the first bullet off. So we always see all these drawing and things that the people do, and you'll see them at the range shoot 300 rounds, tell their wife that they killed the cardboard, and there's not a gunfight in America where you would stand still. So you're going to resort to the way you trained. And the other thing that we're doing in training that bothers me is that in all the ranges, we're shooting at these B-27 targets, and it's for the pygmy zombie apocalypse. I mean, we're shooting low, and the first thing we're going to do is we need to be shooting thoracic.
Wait, so talk about that. I use some lingo there. The only thing I knew what you were talking about there is I know what a pygmy is. Everything else, explain it. So a B what?
A B-27 target.
Okay,
is
what's
that
a
big shadow target that you see, and it's got the 10 and all the rings on it, right? And in all the ranges, you have them either outdoor or indoor. Even the sheriffs have us all shoot at the X. They say, hey, shoot at the X, shoot at the bullseye. And that's literally going to shoot a 6'2" guy like me in the waist or other parts of my
belly
body.
button. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's not taking care of the threat. And so in some of the cases that we do, we have you do 3 push-ups, shoot the exercise. We have you do 10 push-ups, shoot the exercise. And if the way you trained is the way you're going to shoot, and we've had U.S. Marshals that we train stand up, say, hey, I'm a great shot left-handed, and they'll go boom, boom, boom right at the pygmy zombie apocalypse target. And that's not what we should train to. And again, if we look at point shooting and get you moving, that really becomes critical, because as we see, as people move around, 100 shots go out in a gunfight, only 4 hit the body by FBI numbers.
Isn't that crazy?
So we're not training people to hit the target. We're training them to shoot for the Olympics or something like that. That's not going to be helpful in a defensive situation.
That's interesting. Now, USCCA has, their training department has, maybe the best way to put it, has successfully filling a void. I think they've come a long way. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, their marketing materials are excellent. They really put some pressure on the NRA, and they really work at what they need to do in helping people in home defense. We teach home defense classes, which are really important things. You buy a home, you say, hey, I need to make my home secure. Put 1.5-inch bolts in your locks at the front door so they can't kick it in. They're going to come in 26% of the time through the front door, 23% through the back time, 22% through a window. Put the film on your window so they can't get to that.
What's the film on your window?
They can't break the window. It won't come apart in pieces.
Wow, where do you get that?
Email me at paragraph2.net.
There you go.
And I'll send it to you.
So there's like a film that like makes it like
Most of your window
So the window
installers
won't,
have it.
yeah, the window won't go. The other thing we're working on, and I'm doing a home right now in Paradise Valley, Arizona. It's a kind of like a piece of Marlite, but it'll stop a 5.56 bullet, and we're establishing it on the sides of each door in a home, so that you can defend yourself in a home and stop the bullet, because drywall doesn't stop anything.
And do you think you said not having a plan, you think is everybody's biggest mistake?
Huge mistake. You have to have a plan. You have to know where everybody's going to be at. Mike talked about what their plan is. These things are important, because if you're not on the same page, you got a big problem on your hands.
Half of the people don't even talk about a plan.
Correct.
They're just waiting for it to happen, but they don't know what they're going to do when it happens.
Yeah, no, and then you're just running around causing all kinds of
Like a
problems.
chicken with your head cut off.
Exactly.
End up shooting somebody in the house.
And it's a bad time. Okay. And like Mike says, you can't sweep the house. You're not trained for that.
Shouldn't.
That's not what we shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah, shouldn't do that.
And how many people really at night lock every door in the house and every window?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, because again, we have so many break-ins anymore. I don't think that matters.
No.
There was a guy who came to my door 2 nights ago with a ukulele telling me he's got Christmas carols. And I said, you need to back away from the door immediately.
Yeah. Or I've got a ukulele for you.
Have any of you? Did you have a story about a student who's had to use a firearm in self-defense or their home or anything? Do you have any good stories about your students?
Well, I think the best part is then we all try to teach is, in California, we say brandishing a gun is a crime.
2 minutes.
It's not a crime. 417 says it's an act of self-defense. You can pull your gun. As a Utah instructor, we want you to pull your gun because it stops 90% of everything. Yeah. So again, if we teach you everything you need to do, make all the right moves, you pull your gun, no shots fired. FBI standards say we stop 550 rapes and over 1,100 murders every 24 hours in the United States.
Isn't that amazing?
So that's what we need to teach people. That's what we need to spend time with. And again, the people that have had to do that are my students. I had one couple got in an argument and everything like that. He broke in the home, came down the stairs. The next night he broke in, she stood there, pointed her gun. He just turned around and walked away.
Wow.
So yeah, no,
it really is amazing, and I hear, unfortunately, most of the stories I hear where a firearm was used defensively to de-escalate a situation or prevent a crime, something like that. It's usually the reason I hear about it is it's because somebody didn't have a product like USCCA, and they're going, I'm in trouble. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I didn't even pull the trigger. I didn't even nothing even happened. I just pulled my gun, and now. The DA and the cops and the report and I don't know, blah, 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 and I got this guy who's a trust attorney and he's going to defend me in a complicated second. You know what I mean? That's what I hear.
That's a huge mistake.
That's a huge mistake.
SB2 says you have to have an insurance program like USCCA if you're a concealed carry holder starting January 1st.
If you've made the decision to get a CCW, then you've admitted to yourself that there is a likely scenario that you'll have to defend yourself at some point. And if you've come to that conclusion, you've also come to the conclusion you're going to need an attorney. So I highly recommend these. That's one of the mistakes. I hear the horror stories. I get phone calls and emails from people that aren't even members and they're just desperate. So keep that in mind. Okay, when we get back, we're going to talk to Mike Pettengill from Personal Protection Academy about all kinds of cool stuff.
Not Me is for women, by women, and is designed to help women with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. If you are a woman or you know a woman who needs help, have her sign up, and we will give her the help she needs. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. Okay, I got an update.
Go ahead.
On the Gundies. You have to go to the Gundies. You have to put an account in. Okay, and then you look for the area that we're in, and you click on it, and you're allowed to vote. You get 15 votes. So you can vote. I voted once, and it has not let me vote again. So I don't know when this thing ends, but you have up to 15 votes. So folks, go to Gundies.
Sounds easy. Couldn't be easier.
Dude, it's
you get 1 vote a day. Vote early, vote often. I've been voting for you guys for the last week and a half.
Oh, is it one day? Is it once a day?
I got to tell you, though.
But every listener out there should go to GUNDIES.com, make an account, and vote.
GUNDIES.com.
Correct.
Gundys.com.
And our category is top voices of the 2A.
There you go. I got to tell you, it sounds complicated, and it probably could be a little bit easier. But
Hey,
if Dave
did
figured it
I do
out,
it? Trust me.
if Dave figured it out and then just explained it, then by golly, everyone out there listening
So
can
there's
figure this
no
out.
reason why Alicia can't get the award.
Gundys, Gundies, .com, and then look for us. Okay, Mike Pettingill from Personal Protection Academy. How are you, sir?
Wonderful, sir.
Fantastic to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, we were just talking a little bit about CCWs. We're talking about home defense. But I wanted to ask, California, how are the policies in California when it comes to FFLs? How are they doing?
Killing us softly with their love songs. They're doing everything they can to eliminate home-based FFLs. So ATF tells us that more than half of the FFLs in the U.S. are home-based.
Yeah.
California does not like that. Our business runs a home-based FFL with the goal being that you take the intro person into guns, right? They've just got in the process. Mike, I want to shoot my first gun. Great. Let's go to the range. We'll teach you safety. We'll teach you grip. We'll teach trigger pull and sight alignment. Mike, I think I like this. Now I got to figure out what gun I want to buy. Okay, let's take you back to the range. We'll let you shoot, 8 different guns. Mike, I think I want the Shield M&P, or I want the Glock 19, or I want the new 365. All right, not a problem. We're an FFL. We can get you that because we don't pay rent. We don't have staff. I can sell it to you for $20-$30 cheaper than any gun store can. And then we'll get that into you. We'll run your background check just like everybody else. Get the gun in your hand, and now we'll continue to train you with that gun. We'll move you towards a CCW. All this to say that was the model of our business, was to get you in the door to start learning about defending yourself, and then to give you all the resources you needed.
Yeah. One-stop shopping.
Yeah, that was
kind of how it should be.
That was the goal. It was the mom and pop shop where you can build a relationship with Mike and Aaron Pettingill, and we can help you and your family feel comfortable. And so we had the FFL, and the FFL, it's not been a big part of our business financially. Yeah. I crunched the numbers. We're going to net on the FFL just this year about $5,000, right? That's not a big part of it. It's better than a stick in the eye, but it's not a big part of our business.
Well, it's so, one of the things that I think it's important to understand is, what's the margin on a selling a gun?
It's not a lot.
Like if you sell a Glock 19 to somebody and they pay full price, you're not friends or family or whatever, they pay full price. What are you making on that?
So the wholesaler is going to sell it to me. It's going to sell it to me and Turner's and every gun shop around, same price. It's going to be about $430 plus about $10 or $15 in delivery.
So $430, you're going to sell it for maybe $100 more than that. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to do how many hours of paperwork on one gun?
Hour and a half.
But at least then you're efficient. You're doing well.
Yeah.
But it also requires, how long do you spend when somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to buy a gun"? How many hours do you think you spend just talking to them about the right gun?
A lot more. The reality is it's the gun. Selling guns was never a big part of our business. Didn't matter to us, but it mattered to the people that bought the guns.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
But that's where I'm going with this. So would you say it's fair, including the hour and a half of paperwork, 5 hours?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So 5 hours. So you're making $20 an hour.
Yeah.
$20 an hour. Which is people flipping burgers are making $20 an hour now.
Right.
So the gun is the membership card. It's not the profit center. The gun is without the gun. Can a person who doesn't have a gun, and has no intention of buying a gun, are you going to be able to train that person?
No,
are they going to become
of course,
a student of yours?
Right.
So getting them that gun was really opening up an entire world of, now they need a holster. Now they need a belt. Now they need training. Now they need a permit. Now they need a Inland Empire Gun Owners membership. Mm-hmm. Now they need all these things, right?
Right.
So it's not like you were making a ton of money with that gun sale. And I got to tell you, they don't like FFLs, and the home-based ones are just they're trying to chip away. So they're trying to hold back the brick and mortar from expanding while they chip away and completely destroy the home-based FFLs.
You want to know who told me, explained to me in great detail as to how egregious the new law, SB 1384, which takes effect January 1st for all FFLs, who explained it to in the most plainest English possible, was the contractor I brought in to give me a quote for a security system. And that's what this is all about. We're going to shut our FFL down on December 31st because we can't afford the security system that they want. And basically what the security system is 15 frames per second. It's 24/7 recording. It's live. It's at every point of entry and exit, inside and outside. It's every point of sale, which is my guest room in my condo. And it has to store all of that data on site for 365 days of the year. So the contractors that came in said, no, Mike, you must be mistaken. Pot shops and bars don't have that kind of an egregious limitation as to what's going on. You know what? Whoever designed this law looked into this to figure out how to shut you down, because the reality is with all that's taking place, it's 100 terabytes of data that has to be stored in my closet with hard drives running 24 hours a day, which they're going to overheat, and then I got to buy them again in a year. Right, and I got to store this data, so I've got to spend $7,000 to $10,000 to set up a security system to bring in $5,000 net profit on firearms.
Now, when you did the math on that, it didn't make financial sense.
Because
listen, I didn't go to math school, so I'm not a mathematician.
I am a classic C student. Thank you very much, and I can add that one up.
We rule the world. I got to tell you,
yeah.
man, C students, we rule the world. A+ students wouldn't have jobs if C students didn't exist.
When my daughter was in college, she looked at my undergrad transcripts and she said, "They give you a degree for that GPA?" So it's the contractors.
I
that
can't
come
even
in.
spell GPA, Mike.
But how come jails camera systems don't have to stay running?
Because they're not trying to get rid of jail. Well, actually, they kind of are trying to get rid of jails because
the
they
people
can't
in them?
they can't bankrupt the jails. So they've completely they've financed you out of business is really what happened, and you're not the only one.
Yeah, it's not. And to be honest, if it was break even, I couldn't care less. I said this is not a big money making venture for us. This is so that we can easily get the firearms that someone wants to defend themselves, and that's it. And here's why they're trying to shut us down: is they're pretty darn confident that what's going on is we're running guns out our back door and making sure that Alicia gets all the off-roster guns that she wants, and we're just pushing them out the back door.
They're pushing you to that.
Yeah, and the
They
reality,
want you to be a criminal so they can catch you.
the laws already exist that would make me a criminal if I did that, right? But they just.
But this is one way to push you just a little bit harder.
Yeah, and here's what I've said is the state of California doesn't want home-based FFLs or small FFLs to exist, and I got to throw up my hands up and say, you guys win.
Yeah.
I don't have the time and the resources to fight this. If I broke even or lost $1,000, I'd continue doing it.
But I guarantee you they're going to be looking at you from this day forward. If you say, I'm not going to do an FFL, they're going to look at your phones. They're going to look at everything to see if they can catch you going out the back door.
Well, I'm a creeper, but I'm not that bad.
But I'm just saying. See, that's the bad thing about it.
Well, it's Sacramento. I've said this for a while. I've long said that Sacramento looks at Californians as a source of income or a future felon.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all we are to them.
Yeah.
And period. And you used to work in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Am I far off?
No, that's exactly it. I mean, the reality is that I don't want to get too political on it, but
get political.
Oh no, go ahead. It's all right. We're already upset.
If I wore a skirt, it would be fine. But the fact is that
2 minutes.
The fact is that I want to fire a handgun. Now, one is protected by the Constitution verbatim, and the other is not. And the reality is because they don't like that portion of the Constitution, I'm the scumbag that they want to drive out of business.
I'm going to tell you,
will find a way to do it come hell or high water.
Had you shown up in a skirt today, I would have been very accepting of that, Mike.
Well,
Yeah,
I changed in the parking lot.
Depending, Michael start wearing his again.
Depending on the skirt. I mean, it would have to be a flattering skirt, something that really brought your eyes out. But
Skin
other than
tight.
that,
Skin tight.
Dave just took weird and made it weirder. Thanks, Dave.
I taught an all women's class yesterday, and I said, I know you guys were expecting my wife, and I'm sorry she had to go teach a CCW class, and so I'm here to teach the women's class, and I know you were expecting a women's instructor, and one gal looked at me and said, "You're not?"
So she failed.
1 minute.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating. It's
Have you given up yet?
Oh, not even close. I mean, I got to tell you, man.
That's what they're waiting for.
How boring would it be if we got everything we wanted? We just sit around and have fun. Yeah, we just sit around and have fun all day
and watches
and be free. That's all we'd talk about. That's all we'd have left to talk about is food and watches.
I'd be right there, brother.
This is not a bad. Sounds like a cool show, actually.
You got to throw cigars in there.
This is, to be honest, this is the golden era of CCWs right now, with the Bruin court case and the U.S. Supreme Court case and the way things are going with Judge Benitez and the way the stuff's going. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. All the Southern California counties that are dishing out CCWs. This is the golden era of CCWs. So if they don't like it, I'm sorry, get over it. But Jim and Alicia and I are going to do everything we can to get CCWs into the hands of law-abiding citizens.
Well,
Fast as you can.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think Jim's right too, in that there's a bright light at the end of the tunnel. But what Jim's saying, if the millions of gun owners don't get involved, in a meaningful way, not just slacktivism where you're posting memes on Facebook and thinking that you're doing something good for the country, but in a meaningful way. If that doesn't happen, then this golden era is going to just, turn our skin green. It's not going to be real gold. So get involved, do something. I think it was eloquently and excellently put. You're absolutely right. It's a bright light at the end of the tunnel, but if we just sit here and complain about it or expect somebody else to get there, it's not going to happen. So get involved.
A lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and your website looks great, but it's just not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customer to understand what you do and how to buy from you. Stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is easy. Visit sagetree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button. That's sagetree.com and click on the Schedule a Call button now.
Our last segment reminded me of a joke. You guys want to hear a joke?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
How does a ninja defend against a non-binary person? How does a ninja defend against a non-binary person?
You're not talking to Sam, so just tell us.
Yeah.
They/them. Right?
Okay. All right. For all complaints, 1-800-MIKE.
Did you see the Joe Rogan thing where he says, did you see the lady who was giving her pronouns and a cat slaps her?
Yeah, I did see that. You said I probably should have gotten slapped.
That would have been better, yeah.
Where's the cat when you need one?
Mike, here's another one. What's a ninja's pronouns?
You just said that.
No.
Different.
What is a ninja's pronouns?
Who, where?
He-ya! He-ya.
Where are you getting this stuff?
I'm just making it up on the spot. That's the kind of
I
guy I am. All right, Mike Pettengill from the Personal Protection Academy.
No, they're not coming
Can we
back.
talk about guns?
Yeah, they're not coming back thanks to you.
All right. Mike Pettengill from Personal Protection Academy, friend of the show, awesome guy, all-around good dude. So I asked Jim earlier about some of the non-marksmanship things that people need to know about guns. We all go, when we think practice, when we think proficiency, we immediately think about standing in a lane and putting some holes in paper. Jim had a couple of excellent points about that. What do you think? What are some of the things that you teach, some of the classes that you have that are not really aren't direct marksmanship or not marksmanship at all, and there's stuff that gun owners need to know and learn?
So a gunfight is, if you don't trust me, get on YouTube and look up gunfight. Look up security camera footage with guns. Mm-hmm. A gunfight is not going to look like 90% how 90% of us shoot. It is not going to be stationary. You will not be flat-footed. A gunfight doesn't care if you're using the isosceles or the weaver, and it will shoot back. something is going to be throwing something at you at 950 feet per second. It is going to be movement, not just because that's tactically intelligent, because you got to get the hell away from whatever that guy is throwing at you as quick as you can. And so one of the best examples is an unnamed student of mine who I know puts 500 rounds down range every time he shows up, and he shoots at stationary targets. And I did a private lesson with him. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to walk to the left, from your left to your right, facing 90 degrees away from the target, and you're just going to walk. And you're going to shoot to your right at the target while you're walking. I'm going to stand behind you, hold your belt and your shoulder, and you just unload the magazine as you're moving slowly. He did that, and his guys got wide, and he's like, that's the coolest thing I've ever done. I'm like, you got to get out more, brother, because you have got to be training. If you're throwing that lead down that range at the cost of ammo right now, you have got to be doing some serious training. And so what we do is we have one of the things I've talked about on this show before is our handgun aptitude test, which is a way that you can analyze your reload skills, your fixing malfunctions from the holster. You have a lot of different things that are more applicable. We're also going to be rolling out Defensive Handgun 1 and Defensive Handgun 2 that are curriculums that we've 45% come up with our own and 55% stolen from people smarter than us. And we're going to roll those out in 2024. And it's going to be all about let's start moving like what a gunfight looks like.
I think that's important. There's not enough training on that. I shouldn't say there's not enough training. There's enough training. There aren't enough people taking training like that, and they should be. Alicia, what's a non-marksmanship thing, skill set, curriculum that you teach that people need to know that maybe people aren't thinking of?
To kind of get out, something different than what Mike and Jim talked about. I think if you've not practiced a holster draw or a draw from some type of concealment, you're not magically going to know how to do it. We saw it with the homeowner in LA. The draw that you come out with, that grip that you get, that's what you're stuck with. You don't have time to adjust. You don't have time to fix it.
His was a mess.
It was a mess. Yeah.
It was.
It was
I
pretty
watched
bad.
it again after you talked about it last week. I said, "Oh my goodness!"
Right.
Surprised he didn't shoot himself in the foot.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Or get a malfunction. So the idea is that in addition to getting rounds down range, get that grip, learn how to establish it, learn how to draw, learn how to get that proper hand placement, and be proficient at it. Practice it. Don't think you're magically going to know how to do it when the time comes.
There is no substitute for learning how to draw.
Tell me they didn't.
One of the most dangerous
except
times.
for maybe learning how to paint. That's
Tell
a good
me
substitute.
they didn't practice back in the cowboy days.
I know they did. There's all kinds of quotes on some of the more famous gunfighters. Wyatt Earp talks about put me on the spot and I can't quite remember it. He talks about how accuracy beats speed. I forget his quote, but they absolutely practice, sure. And of course,
Shouldn't it be any different today?
Some of the showmen were big. Hickok was a huge practicer. Annie Oakley was, absolutely. I think it's crucial. It's important.
One of the most dangerous times is going to be when you reholster as well. So it's not just getting it out; it's putting it back.
Yeah,
it's what he said. I don't care how fast you miss.
That's it.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Is that the quote? I mean, it is something like that.
It is something like that.
You can't miss fast enough or something like that.
I'm not impressed by how fast you miss.
Yeah. That's it's something like that. Which, in a lot of these, IPSC and IDPA, the way their scoring is set up, that you can't miss so fast that you win the competition, which I think is smart. Because marksmanship is obviously extremely important, but really what it is, it's proficiency. It's not so much the marksmanship; it's the proficiency, which is the whole package. Mm-hmm. It's drawn from concealment. It's the whole kit and caboodle. So, what do you think? What's Jim? What's another thing that people show up? What's something that? How many times have you had somebody they've had a gun for 20 years or 30 years or whatever, and their dad taught them and their grandfather, and they've been shooting for 100 years or whatever?
Those are the hardest students ever.
And they
amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
So and they know everything, although they're taking your class. While
they're pointing their gun in the air like this. Yeah.
What's their biggest mistake usually?
Well, we know that accidents all happen ignorance, and they're more ignorant than anyone. They won't clean their guns. Somehow these people think that when they put their ammo in a can, that picks up women when they're all loose. So there's all this testosterone stuff going on the range, and it really gets difficult for us because they have an answer for everything. And then you just say, well, let's go out and let's just shoot. Let's see what you got. And they make 100 mistakes. And now you got to make the decision. Do you really want to teach them?
Wow.
You have to. The
Well,
most
you had
difficult
that.
thing.
Alicia had that the other day with that one woman that came in
Yeah.
and scared the hell out of you.
Yes, sir.
Well, that'd be a funny skit. Mike was kind of talking. That would be a funny skit, like a video where, like
Mike can star in it.
there you go.
did, yeah.
Like, somebody, draws from concealment, against a bad guy, and the bad guy's like, wait, stop. And like tells him, like, look, you're not going to come at me with Weaver, man. You have a little bit more respect for me as a criminal, and you're standing there in your Weaver
would be
stance,
good.
Anyway, because they make we do a. What do you think about this statement, Jim? I think as the gun owner community across the board, no matter what it is, we are the very best at making mountains out of molehills.
Absolutely.
Like 9mm versus 45, and AK versus AR, and all these different,
Oh, we can't wait to create an argument over something. We just can't.
Kirk
I don't
versus
care
Picard.
What it is. Yeah, no, exactly.
What do you-
holster you should wear at this time? Mike and I just recently became NRA training counselors, right? I don't know about Mike's class, but I was there.
What's a training counselor?
We certify instructors for both the USCCA and the NRA.
Gotcha.
And it's a nice privilege to have, but we both like to teach. Many of them don't like to teach, but it's a
2 minutes.
when you go there to teach, you're going to stand there, and it's a CCW class. Of the 10 guys in my class, only one guy wore an inside the waistband holster, me.
Yeah.
And Mike, how would you do? He doesn't want to say.
No. It's absolutely inside the waistband holster. The thing that caused me a laugh, I don't want to interrupt you. The thing that caused me a laugh is I was just thinking of the guy in class. The guy in class is always the guy who says, I know what's going on. I'm just here for my wife.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the guy who's got the bad rig. And
That's funny.
So Jim, jump back in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your.
Okay, so we got like 1 minute, then we're gonna go do Stump My Sam. And so Mike, what's your website?
You can check us out at the-ppa.com. And then we also have our handgun aptitude test, which is at
1 minute.
handgunaptitudetest.com.
Nice. And then Jim, what's your website? How do people find
Paragraph 2, the number.net.
His is much easier.
it? There's no hyphen.
So you're going to get all the training. You're not getting nothing.
Let's train with all of us. I mean, these are all good people, and don't stick with one guy.
Yeah, but his is too
Learn.
hard. He needs a simpler name.
okay.
I really like the fact that you guys are both here in the studio together. You guys are clearly, friends as well as, you're in the same industry. It'd be so
Competitors.
easier for you guys to be competitors, and you're not. A high, what is it? A high.
We're not?
High.
He's so much better looking than me.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say it.
I know.
My wife thinks so.
Alicia told me.
A high tide. Well, Alicia's got everybody beat on that.
She does.
If that's how you're going to train, Alicia's getting all the customers. So, but a high tide raises all ships, right?
Yes,
that
yes.
needs to be the attitude. Going into 2024, the gun community, that should be our New Year's resolution. A high tide raises all ships. Enough with this infighting
Somebody else has got
competition.
that. Hey, if you're a gun owner and if you've ever need to use your gun to protect yourself or your loved ones, you need legal protection. Even if you do everything right, even if you're 100% justified, you should be prepared for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. We've seen it right here in San Diego where an innocent man showed his firearm to discourage a violent attacker, and he had to spend thousands of dollars in legal fees to restore his freedom and rights. That's why you need firearms legal protection. When you join, you get uncapped legal protection for self-defense, for civil or criminal cases with a 24/7 hotline. Joining is real easy. Just go to firearmslegal.com and click on Become a Member. Use code GOR for a discount. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you are protected. If you are ever involved in a self-defense incident, firearmslegal.com and use the discount code GOR.
All right, time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. Years ago, we found out that Sam, my nephew, is extremely good at gun trivia. So if you send in a question that has to do with firearms, and we use it on the air, we'll send you a hat or a T-shirt. If you stump my nephew, then we'll give you a cool special prize. Jim, have you heard this segment before? Are you familiar with my...
No, I'm sitting here scared right now.
You're scared? Mike's a fan, right?
Question.
Mike's got this.
I am a stalking fan of Sam the Gunman.
You are? Okay.
He's the best. Sam, you there?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Congratulations. You got your first stalker, and it's Mike Pettingill. I got good news and bad news for you.
Well, thanks, I guess.
He's never been happier to live in Virginia. Okay, Sam, we got a question for you. I'm going to let Mike read it. You got it in front of you, Mike?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
All right, Sam. Hey, this is Mike. Mike Schwartz from San Diego asks, what is a cut shell and why?
Thanks, Mike, for reading the question, and thanks, Mike, for sending in the question. What is a cut shell? I believe what this is now. I'm not 100% on this, so this was a good question already. You might have to send yourself a hat or a T-shirt, or whatever the special prize is, Denny's spaghetti. I believe what this refers to is the process of, or the result of cutting into a shotgun shell, like with a knife, in order to remove some of what's inside of it. But I'm not, unfortunately, I am not wise enough in the ways of the FUD to explain as to why that would be necessary or what that would get you.
Mike, read the answer. Is there anything we should lead him with, or should we just read the answer given?
No, he got it. This is it.
Okay, fire
All right,
away.
Answer given. Cut shells are a Depression-era trick where you cut through the hull of a birdshot load, but not through the wad of a shotgun shell in a spiral cut that barely overlaps but does not complete the circle. A small portion of paper or plastic still holds the whole together until, when it is fired, that part tears and the whole thing goes down the barrel, wad, shot cup, and hull.
So what?
So all it is just like a really dumb way of making a wax slug.
Bingo! It's exactly what it is, and it was the reason was developed in the Depression era is that slugs got super expensive during the Depression era. So they said, all right, well, and they have those. You know what it is? It's like a modern day flight control. What is it? Remington that has a flight control.
I think it's Federal.
Is it Federal has flight control? We're basically...
Yeah, come on. Remington doesn't come up with good ideas. It's Federal. It's got to be Federal.
It's got to be Federal. Federal. So explain flight control. Smarty.
WAD makes shot patterns smaller.
Yeah. So it keeps those 9 millimeter, shot balls in a much tighter pattern so that you get... you just don't have as much of a spread. So more of it hits, the same part of the target at the same time. Go ahead.
This was a really interesting question because I've seen photos of that done where the outer part of the shell was being cut into, but I could never figure out why that was done. But I am familiar with wax slug. Like, I haven't fired wax slugs, but I'm well familiar with the idea. And the idea there is you cut away the top of the shell where it's crimped, and you pour in hot paraffin wax off of a candle into the shot cup of the wad, and that, when it hardens, it sort of glues all the bird shot in there together. So you get something like a slug flying down range, but it's an ersatz frangible slug, basically.
You want to hear like the absolute worst? This is going to haunt me for about the next 2 weeks. As soon as he said paraffin wax, my first thought was, oh, that's stuff they use in pedicures. That's horrible. That's a horrible thing to go through my head. I had to get that off my chest and share it on the air. I have to exercise that poltergeist.
It to us.
Yeah, so you guys get to think about that for a while. And I actually saw a guy was testing. What are they called? They're like little toothpicks, flechettes. Is that what they are?
Flechettes.
So there are shotgun shells that have flechettes and he shot one without a cut, and then one with a cut, and the flechettes it was a much tighter pattern. It was more scientifically termed more knockdown power when you do that. So that was the idea. And there were two things about the why. Why do they do that? Part one about the why is it was depression era, and it was a financial thing. And then the other why is, of course, keeping the pattern tight, which is amazing that it does that. That's awesome.
It's kind of funny to look at these solutions people come up with before the technology or before the market is ready for that kind of thing. Flight control wads 100 years ago because people couldn't afford slugs, or 6mm high velocity military rifles with the Lee Navy before the metallurgy of the barrels was good enough to withstand that. All sorts of stuff like that people come up with before their time, and then the idea falls out of favor, and then it sort of comes back. There's nothing new.
I'm still thinking about paraffin wax, if I'm being honest.
Well, if you want to get that out of your head, you can think about beeswax instead.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, so if you didn't read, do you have a new article since guys? He wrote an article. I don't know if you saw it about 2 weeks ago, where it was what was it? Was it FUD bingo or
it was gun store bingo?
Gun store bingo, where they'd have a card, all the all the things that they would hear at a gun shop, all the usual, like knockdown power. I don't know. Give a couple examples, Sam.
Stopping power is one of them because there's notoriously no mathematical way to measure how effective a round is or a weapon is at stopping a human.
So someone says that, and boom, you put it on. You got a spot, right?
Check it off on the bingo card.
If you get bingo by the end of it, then I don't know. Everybody's got to pay for lunch. But anyway, excellent article. It was one of the most entertaining ones you've ever written. I really, really enjoyed it. You got a new one since then?
No, not since then. You and I have talked about this on the phone, but I've been incredibly busy lately. But after about next weekend, you'll start to get them a lot more regularly. I do want to solicit the listening audience for two things.
Go for it.
One is more ideas for the gun store bingo card, because I have a bunch, but I'm curious as to ones that apply specifically to you. So those of you who currently or in the past have worked behind the gun counter in the San Diego, Southern California area, I want to hear what your bingo card entries are, first of all.
You got one? Second, you guys got one off the bat, Mike and Jim? Can you think of one real quick, or no? Put them on the spot. All right. What second thing?
I'm still laughing about.
Second thing is I want to know what people want covered in future blog posts. I want to know what not necessarily political issues, but what things outside of 2A politics people want to hear about, people want to read about, because. I don't want to just be writing blog posts that only a handful of people read. I want to write about what people want to read about. So send those ideas, gun store bingo card entries and blog post ideas to, what was the email address again?
Send it to info@gunownersradio.com. info@gunownersradio.com.
Right.
Well, my suggestion was, and gentlemen, tell me what you think about this, gentlemen and Alicia, I want a series of articles talking about lead versus non-lead for bullets, any projectile. Is it environmentalists? They're attacking us from an environmental stance. Saying, hey, lead's horrible for everybody.
You mean like the composite rounds?
2 minutes.
Composite or steel or something other than lead that environmentalists can't attack us on. Is it a viable option? Why is it not a viable option? That kind of thing, because I don't really know. Like if an environmentalist sat down with me and said, hey, you're putting lead into the environment, I don't have an effective argument against it. I don't really know the ins and outs. So, Sam, if that's something that you'd be interested in writing about, that's my vote. What do you guys, gentlemen? Anything?
I think that's a great one, but what's wrong with putting lead into trash?
I don't know.
Okay.
See what I mean? I don't know. The only thing I know about
my gun goes off is when I'm shooting at trash. So
the only thing I know about lead is that Superman can't see through it. That's the extent. Yeah, that's it. That's all I know. So anyway, all right. Well, there you go, Sam. Hopefully, you get some people right in, talk about some articles they want to hear from you or read from you. So I think you're doing an excellent job, my friend. You're probably the, at least, I'm going to say top 10 best nephews I have.
1 minute.
So,
Okay,
I
I'll
appreciate
take that.
Yeah,
How many do you have?
maybe top 5. I have 2.
I have two.
I have 2 nephews and a niece.
I will take top 10.
Yeah, and say
Very
in the
gladly.
top 5. Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah.
All right. Well, thanks very much for having me on, as always, and thanks everyone for listening. Keep those questions coming in, and get those gun store bingo entries coming in.
There you go.
Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.